Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of my Pirate series. As you can tell by the date here, we're a little bit into the off-season, and that's because when I actually recorded the first part of the off-season, had a little bit of an issue with the sound, somehow couldn't get it to work. Not quite sure what happened, tried to fix it, which is why it's been a few days since I have posted the last video of the series, but decided to go ahead and punt on trying to fix it and just go ahead and kind of re-record the off-season. So what was going to be a two-part off-season video, as I usually do, is now just going to be a one-part video, and we're going to start it off just by showing you what happened at the very end of the season. So the Phillies, the team that ended up beating us in the division series, they went ahead and won the World Series 4-1. They pretty much dominated after our series, actually, sweeping the Braves and then a little gentleman sweep with the Orioles in the World Series. Of course, we know what the roster looks like. Since we faced them, they rode arms like Jack Flaherty, or they pretty much did ride Jack Flaherty and Kerry Ellis here into the World Series. He had a very good year. Of course, their bullpen shut us down. Didn't really get enough offense going in the series and didn't really get the pitching we wanted either. Of course, they are a very good offensive team, and we just, really what it came down to, we, of course, did not pitch well enough against them, although we didn't score a great amount of runs either. Also, kind of looking other things we did, just got to know that we brought back pretty much everyone of note, negotiated with some guys. You can see some of the guys we brought back here. We pretty much brought everyone back that you would expect to be back, except really for Andrelton Simmons. He is not back because he had a vesting option and he failed to meet the criteria. I didn't really see that when bringing him in. I thought we were bringing him in for 2 years, but he failed to meet it, and we're probably not going to be able to sign him because of his demand. Also, the other huge move that we made was we brought in, we didn't bring in, we traded Ben Wardven, and pretty much the justification that I gave for that and why I did it was because he's becoming more and more expensive. I mean, he's 5 years of service time. He's getting to the end of his RB years, which is of course 7 in this game because another year of team control is added. And I basically did deal him because of the fact that he's really not a good catcher. He split so much time with Sanchez just because of Sanchez's defensive ability. It's really not the best idea to play a catcher in this game if they do have ability as low as 50. If you are playing a guy like that, they need to be a good offensive catcher like him. But with the amount of games he's playing, really, the big factor is the money. We're, as the Pirates, we are pretty much always right up against our budget, even trying to field a competitive team. And I just thought, we could spend that money much more wisely, despite the fact that he is a great offensive player. We could really, maximize our pitching with, much better catcher ability player, and, maybe invest that money other places in the offense or on the team. We shipped him to Colorado, so, he's probably going to be posting, even better offensive seasons than he did with us. So we shipped him as well as Yolden De La Paz here, or some, not quite sure. He's basically an irrelevant prospect. Not really going to be anything. Oops, didn't mean to go all the way back there. So in return, we got Nick Meyer, a catcher himself, who will be on the Major League roster this season. Helcris Olivares, who is a reliever, and Randy Farah, who is also a reliever. Farah, pretty decent prospect here. 2+ pitches. Trying to develop a changeup. He hopefully will be a good reliever piece for us in the future. I guess it always goes back to that screen after you look at these players. Olivares also a very good 2-pitch pitcher, also trying to develop a changeup. A good stuff guy. A lefty reliever, which we could definitely use. And relievers are such easy trade throw-ins, and the main piece being a fellow catcher, Nick Meyer, who has pretty much all of his team control left. Only played a partial season. His catcher ability, why not a huge upgrade? Is is a decent upgrade. A 10-point swing. Will be much better. Defensive catcher also got much better arm. Much better overall defensive catcher, although not too much better in the ability department. Mainly a big contact hitter. As you can see, not much power, not even much power to the gaps, but he's a decent contact rating. He's not going to strike out a lot. He does have the ability to get on base a decent bit, so I think overall, he'll be league average to maybe above league average hitter. Definitely one of the better hitting catchers in the league. Hopefully he's 29, so an older player, but I think we'll be able to get a good amount of value out of him, and we're not going to be paying him nearly as much as Wardven, so that in itself, I think really makes this deal worth it for us. One thing that I just did think of now, player that we non-tendered Nick Nelson after his really poor season. He was due for like $10 million plus, and of course he had a very poor season last year. We just weren't going to pay him. We couldn't afford to pay him that much money, especially for that production. And then, as our pitching, we have quite a good amount of pitching depth. So that just means Carson Montgomery is going to step in from his elite performance as a bullpen arm last season. He's going to be stepping into a starting role, which is really what he is. So, that'll be good for him. We'll also, be able to see what he can do as a starter. Speaking of where we actually are now in the offseason, we're not too far in, still November 19th, and we have the free agency filings, so I went ahead and made a few offers already today. I'm just going to let you know what they are. The first one is Aaron Judge, which is, mainly a buy low candidate guy. Plays very good defense in right field. Of course, we all know about his makeup. Huge power guy, huge. He'll get on base a good bit, and he's going to strike out a lot. So that's basically that. And he really, as you can see, performed very poorly in the last season. Throughout the actual OOTP, world in this game, he hasn't been great. He had a very good 2021. A pretty decent 2022, and had a bad 2023, but also had fairly poor offensive season after that. Now, looking kind of why I decided to go with him, was mainly his BABIP, even like by his career standard, was super low this year. Compared to where it usually is. So I figured, take a chance on this guy. We're not going to be, really paying him that much. He could be a good bench bat for us against, possibly left-handed pitching. So, we could maybe get some good value out of him, not paying him a lot, chance that he, be able to have a good season. Thought it would be worth the risk, especially at a low price, because there wasn't really anyone, that we could really afford. You can see the top guys here, but we won't be able to go after any of those guys. So, see what we can do with our little money to get some, good depth, really. And speaking of depth, we are bringing this not this minor league player, we're bringing this guy, this Taiwanese player on a minor league contract. And he's interesting enough, a decent overall in the game, not a huge contact guy, but, he hits for some power, he'll get on base a little bit, and actually for his low contact rating, he actually, doesn't strike out too much, so defensively, he is one of the more interesting players I've seen. Good range, pretty good air rating, but a very, very poor arm. So he pretty much just is a second baseman. I'm not really going to be able to play him at third or short. So he's pigeonholed as a second baseman. I guess you could play him at first base, although with that range in air, you probably don't really want to. So he's pretty much second baseman through and through. And then the third and final guy for now that we're in on is Ying K, maybe. Not quite sure to say that, but he's a decent enough ground ball pitcher. We again don't really have many lefties on our major league roster pitching wise, and he's a guy who could possibly be a backhand starter guy, and we don't have any left-handed guys in the rotation. So I just went ahead and decided to give him an offer. He's not looking for too much, so I think definitely for his ratings we could get some good value out of him. So with all that being said, I don't really think I'm going to be making any more major moves. A move I did kind of play around with making was trying to trade Ramos. But I just, after shopping him around a bunch, I just didn't really like any of the offers I was getting for him. And that's really because all of the offers were pretty poor compared to, how he's rated. So I think for now we're going to be hang on to him. So he'll continue, at least for now, to be our starting right fielder, although I do not anticipate that would change. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll sim ahead, let you know what happens with the signings, and we're going to go ahead and head towards the Rule 5 draft. Alright, and early December 6th, we actually signed one of the guys we tried to bring in. So Ying, he is going to be signing on with us, so we're going to place him on the active roster. And also, to update with Lou here, we had to up our offer, so we upped it to a 1 year $800K deal. So not still not anything that'll break the bank, of course. And then later in the month, we are able to actually get Aaron Judge under contract. So good there. Hopefully he is able to produce for us. If not, it wouldn't be the biggest deal in the world, but of course we would like the guy we're spending money on, and our manager actually wants him to start over Ramos, so that is kind of interesting. We'll see how he produces. If I don't know if he'll actually be starting every day, but we'll see. And then our guy that we signed is also slotted to be our setup man this year. He'll also definitely be good. Starting pitcher depth for us. Even though we already do have 5 solid guys, he's a guy who can obviously step in. In the case of injury. Alright, so on the day of the Rule 5 draft, we actually had to add quite a bit of guys to the 40-man to avoid them getting picked in the Rule 5 draft. So a lot of moves were made, and I think they're very important. So usually this is something I skim over, but I'm going to go over it here. So to the 40-man, we had to add TJ White, who of course is a pretty good power hitter for us. So definitely didn't want him to get picked. And it's also kind of surprising because it seems to me like a lot of these guys' ratings definitely took a good jump in the offseason, which is good to see because getting these guys to the major leagues will help keep our payroll low, and a lot of them are studs. So it should allow us to really help us do some things in the coming years here. So we also added Randy Farah, who we of course was in that trade, Baltimore Dotel, Tony Ozuna, which is the huge one. His overall rating has gone all the way up to 50 here. We have very high scouting accuracy on him. It's not crazy. We will see him in the major leagues this year, which is kind of crazy to see. Our huge top prospect for a while, number 5 prospect in baseball according to the OSA. He'll be in the major leagues this year, patrolling center field for us most likely. So, very very exciting times here. Kind of jumped up on us that he's going to be ready here, but he pretty much is major league ready at this point. More guys that we added our other Victor Gonzalez, our young right-handed version of Victor Gonzalez, with also a really nasty changeup there, 80 grade changeup. We also added Garrett Horn, who was also not in the 40-man, and I think that honestly might do it. We added a lot of pitching depth to the 40-man because we had a lot of guys who were not on the 40-man. So basically a lot of top prospects were added. So and speaking of that, we're going to get into the Rule 5 draft. Probably unlikely that we're not going to pick anyone here. Unlikely that we are going to pick anyone. Part of the reason being that we really just don't have any spots on the 40-man. I guess we could DFA Webb. He's not someone who I care about too much. There's this guy here in Indie Ball who actually no, not Indie Ball. The Sugarland Skeeters are now a Houston affiliate, which I forgot about. So he does look pretty decent, but again, I'd rather give the spots to the young guys we have. Davenport, Same kind of deal. Rather give a spot to our young guys. Now, hitters is maybe where I would be more lenient and actually picking up someone. Nick Allen is available here. He's a pretty good shortstop. We actually looked at trading for him possibly in the last season, I do believe. Or maybe I'm thinking of another OOTP save that I have played. But I have had interest in him. Zach Britton, catcher who can't catch. No interest in that. Jake Berger is available here. Also no interest in that. Let's go ahead and sort by potential here to see if there are any young players available that are particularly interesting. Here's a catcher. Not too interesting. Here's this guy is way too poor of a player at the moment to be considered. Roman Anthony. It's on OSA rating. We definitely don't want that. All right, here we go. Now we've got some guys here. Aj Thacker here. Can't really play any defense at first base, but I mean, you look at those ratings. Why his overall rating isn't too good. He can hit. He can definitely hit. Honestly, a guy that I might be a little interested in that. Roman Anthony. I mean, he hasn't really hit, in the minor leagues. AA 22 hasn't hit there yet. Don't really want to bring him in, even though he is pretty good defensively. Let's take a look at some more of these guys. This guy is definitely not ready to be a major league player. Aj Thacker is a very interesting player here. He, of course, has much more room to grow. Only played high A, hit well in high A while he was there. Is not going to be a good defensive first baseman by any stretch of the means. Looks like OSA doesn't value him nearly as highly as our scout does, although it's not very accurate, I should say. Yeah, I don't know. We also could probably swing a fairly cheap trade for him. Let's go ahead and evaluate the first base position. We, of course, have Logan Wyatt, who will be back. And that's the thing. I mean, his ratings say now, I mean, Wyatt's not, the best defensive first baseman either. He is taller, which definitely helps out his first base rating. So he actually is fairly decent. Oh, okay. I clicked on Mojica there. I was like, why did his ratings just increase? Mojica's a good defensive first baseman. Wyatt's more kind of meh. We also don't really have any particular first base prospect. I mean, Mojica, I don't know if he's only 24. I don't really know if he's any longer a prospect, though. I mean, he's fine. Not, what we thought he could once be at this point. I don't think his potential is really too high. Let's go revisit Thacker one more time. That's not what I wanted to do. Has anyone been taken so far in this draft? Doesn't look like it, actually. Man, this guy is super tempting. I mean, he can at least even play against right-handed pitching right now. I think we're gonna go and we're gonna take the chance on this guy. At least for now. We haven't even seen him yet. Okay, so he's still available. Nick Castellanos is here somehow. I don't know. Also, Gavin Sheath is here, a guy who's doing some things in real life right now. Corey Collins, catcher who can't really catch. I think we are going to go ahead and draft Thacker just because, I think right now he could be, something pretty good. And if not, things like 100K that you take on in real life for Rule 5 prospects, for if you like sending them back to their former team. Not interested in Applegate there. So, that's right. We have to clear the 40-man spot. So let's first go ahead and do that. Braden Webb, you've been a decent pitcher for us, but I forget what trade we got him in. But we're gonna DFA him. Hopefully he doesn't get claimed. That'll just add to our ridiculous pitching depth, and then we're gonna go ahead and pick Thacker and bring him in. So hopefully, get him some ABs in spring training here, and then evaluate him from there. Definitely Wyatt probably. I don't know. He'll be available by spring training. Yeah. So that's the Rule 5 draft, and we're gonna go ahead and I'll update you if anything of note happens. And speaking of 40-man spots, our man here that we brought in, he has signed, so now we have another 40-man spot to make up. Dotel here, I actually don't really like his ratings as much as I thought. He is looking like a starter right here. His reliever, I mean, he wasn't even good in AAA last year, although I probably can find someone else. Yeah, Grant Cook, he's going to be the one who's DFA'd. I mean, he's our third catcher. I mean, we literally barely used him. I mean, he's not a guy who I care about keeping around too much, mainly because he's not a really good defensive catcher, and I feel like your third catcher, that's what you want him to be. It doesn't need to be someone who can actually hit. He's just a guy who can play catcher, so you put him back there because he's pretty good defensive catcher. So speaking of that, our DFA guys have ran out of time here, so we're gonna go ahead and these are all the guys who we've DFA'd, by the way. So nobody really of note, no one really who's spent any significant major league time, except maybe for Swaggerty, who really hasn't gotten major league time since 2025, and even then he didn't really play. But for 2023, oops, we'll go back there. But for 2023, and especially 2024, he had a good run as a Pirate for those 2 seasons. He had a good run, and he's going to remain in the organization as a depth who probably won't play because, of course, we've got Ozuna and TJ White just waiting in the wings. So, I doubt he'll really get too much time. Another offseason thing to look at is the Hall of Fame voting results, and they are in. We've got 3 Hall of Famers here. Albert Pujols is first ballot. He's going to be first ballot in real life, and yeah, I mean, great career. Kind of hard to remember of course, the old Albert Pujols of old. After watching this version of Albert Pujols for so long, Miguel Cabrera also first ballot. Of course, another non-surprise. So yeah, he makes it. I mean, a long-time tagger, World Series champion with the Marlins, and Carlos Beltran also retires. He, had been dancing around the percentage point. Finally gets in, so good to see that. He usually gets in pretty much every OOTP save. Some other guys getting some decent chunk of the vote here. Cano in his second year, Ichiro in his third, Mauer in his fourth, Hernandez getting decent vote in his first year, Braun, Lester also here, Wainwright getting some love in his first year, as is Hanley and Encarnacion, and then a bunch of guys here who were dropped, as you can see. Not really any, necessarily surprising things there. So those are your Hall of Famers, your class of 2027. So looking at spring training, kind of an exciting time. A lot of our guys are going to be getting some run, including Ozuna and Thacker, who are both going to be getting some playing time here. Wyatt is starting on the IL because he's still injured still. So perfect place for Thacker. Plenty of playing time going to be headed his way. Also, TJ White is here. Pretty much everyone on the 40 man is here, which is 40 guys. So yeah, things are looking pretty exciting, and I'll update you at the end of spring training. Alright, so now we've reached opening day, and before we take a look at setting our opening day roster, we have the top prospects list, but of course Ozuna still slotting in at number 5 is here. His potential is now listed at 75, but his overall has actually gone up a little bit. His discipline rating has gone down. I think it's also important to note that I've gotten a new scout. Our other scout, while we had been, doing fairly well, I decided that, I think it was time to make a new move. We got a highly favored tools scout, and who's extending at scouting managers. If you're not aware of what this highly favored tools scout does, is really it is the most pure scout in the game. All the other scouts take statistics to some degree in the game. to create a rating, to create ratings for your player. This scout does not do that, so it gives a more accurate, true picture of the player's true abilities according to the ratings in the game. So you will see a some different ratings for some of our players here, although those are what should be more true ratings compared to their actual ability in game. With that said, we're going to look at our system. Looking at the other guys, our top prospects here. Josh Stark is here. Of course, our pick from 2026. He appears to be doing just well in the minor league system. Zion Rose is also here, a longtime catcher prospect who is progressing nicely. Hopefully he turns out to be better than Jared Jones. Of course, his hitting abilities look pretty much pretty full, so it looks like he might be getting ready, close to Major League ready. Bernard Rossetti, who's a monster hitter for us in the minor league system. Not a very good fielder, but and that'll keep his potential overall rating down, but he should be a monster at the plate. Then we also have Oscar Lopez, who's been around the system for a while, 23. He is a guy whose ratings have gone down a little bit, but he continues and should be a good major league player for us. And those are all of the guys that we have listed in the top 100. Although, of course, we have much more depth than that. And speaking of depth, we're going to have to use some of it, as we have a few guys on the shelf here to start the season. George Kirby, Garrett Horn will be back shortly, and Aaron Judge will also be back shortly. But Antoine Kelly is going to be on the shelf. So Kirby out for the longest period of time. Of course, the reigning Cy Young Award winner, and Kelly, who has not gotten any major league experience with us yet, but is a guy who has had major experience with Cleveland before. And then, of course, Judge, who we signed, he'll be back soon. So our opening day roster will look a bit different with those guys not available. So we're going to be going ahead to set our roster. Mojica, he is going one of the first to go right down. Thacker also looks a bit different with our new scout. I would say actually thinks that he has potential to be really what our scout thought he would be, and now our scout thinks more what he thinks that he is more likely to be what our what OSA previously thought he would be. So a little bit of a reversal there. Spring training. Can we look at spring training stats? We should be able to, I'm pretty sure. Game type spring training. Yeah, let's look at the spring training stats. Thacker was pretty good in spring training. He was better than Logan Wyatt. So, of course, Wyatt's still not doing awful, but just not hitting for any power whatsoever. So at this point, I think we're going to go ahead and at least have Thacker on the opening day roster. So, for now at least, he should be, with us, trying to figure out what we got here. Okay, so that should be fine now. And now setting the rest of our roster here. Wyatt, for now, we're going to start him in the major leagues, I believe. This guy, yeah, we're going to send him down. We definitely want Gonzalez being our everyday second baseman, so we'll send him down. For now, Bay, he's definitely going down. Although we're going to have to DFA him, although I'm sure no one will complain him. White, not quite ready, so we're going to be sending him down. That brings us to 14 guys, so we need to send one more person down. Honestly, might be Wyatt. Actually, nope. It's going to be Azuna. We're going to save the service time. So he's the one going down. And then this is how it wants us to line up, at least to start the season without Judge. So Ramos is going to be leading off. I would doubt that Judge is going to be leading off when he comes back. So that this lineup would definitely change. We got Ramos, Head, Gonzalez, Thacker in the cleanup spot. Then Christian Robinson, Cabrian Hayes, Yohandy Morales, and Ali Sanchez. Against lefties, we've got a little bit of a different lineup. Head, Gonzalez, Hayes, Ramos, Robinson, Wyatt. So he is a little bit better against lefties than Thacker, although they're both left-handed, so it's not really ideal to have, of course, two left-handed first basemen. And then the rest of the lineup is Morales and Sanchez, of course, at the bottom. DH, we won't use too much. There you go. Rocco's going to be the DH against both-handedness. And then time to cut down the pitching roster. Again, it's probably mostly just going to be going by guys who have options left. Where is financial? There it is. So it's going to be kind of tough. Maldonado, he's going to be the first to go down. Gonzalez, he also, Farah, he's actually going to be going down there. Dotel going down. Cruz also going down. That brings us to 14, so we'll need to get one guy out of here. We've got 4 lefties in the bullpen as of now, so it might be best to go with a left-handed pitcher. Gonna look at whose ratings I like the most. I think honestly we'll go down Olivares for now, and then he actually doesn't have any options left. So I think we'll probably go with Gonzalez now, the left-handed one. Actually, he probably won't have any options either. So we might have to go with the right-handed Victor Gonzalez. He does have options, but he refused to be demoted. And fair enough, he's been on our team for a while, so I completely understand that. So it looks like it might just have to be our right-handed Gonzalez, and yep, that is who it's going to be. So he's going to go down, rework it with the guys we do have in the roster now, and that is what it's going to be. We've got 4 right-handers with McKenzie anchoring the bullpen. Lawson stepping into the starting rotation. Not sure why it's putting him there over our left-handed setup man. Probably would be better to have him in the rotation anyway. Would give us more right-handed options out of the pen, and probably also slot Lawson as the closer. But he started a lot last year and did very well. So at least I think Lawson got some starts. He did get some starts. So yeah, he did pretty decently in those starts. So hopefully he can do pretty well starting for us again. So with that said, that's going to go ahead and do it for the episode, as our Major League roster is set up for the season, at least for the time being, until the players who are injured currently come back. But of course, injuries could happen in that time period with current players on the roster as well. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next episode.